Yep, there it is. There's that. Okay.
Good morning. I'm on fire. How are you?
Technical difficulties, they're happening.
That's traditional too. Well, thank you. I see that some of you have already joined. Thank you very much for joining up. So we have so many things have been happening. I went into Doge talk for a second there.
So much
thing has happened. But I kind of want to talk about recount for a second. And there's earthquakes to talk about, and there's health insurance executives action to talk about. But according to Stephen Spoonemore, when Kamala Harris did a Zoom meeting to talk about the election, her comments were a Greek chorus, that's his phrase, of demands for recount. She ignored them. So who is Stephen Spoonemore? His curriculum vitae includes tech and data-related jobs. And you can find him on the web complaining publicly about hacking of various types as far back as John Kerry's campaign. Back then, it was a connectivity problem. He was recently on Tom Hartman's show last month, and Snopes has taken him on, though not to any final effect, as we shall see. According to Spoonemore, the results for the election are statistically questionable at the tabulation level for at least all of the swing states. He specifically cites bullet ballot stats and proposes that tabulators whose source codes were breached after 2020 could have been pre-programmed to take certain actions during the vote counting and then hide their code thereafter. And in case you don't know what bullet ballots are, they are ballots which have only one vote, Donald Trump, and the rest of it's blank. So one of the first things that he said, he came forward and said, look, statistically, there are too many of these bullet ballots all over the nation. There's never been this many. It's more than improbable. So that was the first thing to look at. And it's important to remember that as a marker was simply a tell, something to make you look at the votes and say, well, maybe we should recount these. It is not the final answer, as Snopes was very careful to say. And Snopes points out that the bullet ballot totals do not represent sufficient votes to throw the election in, say, North Carolina. Quoting Snopes, Spoonemore's letter to Harris spelled out his belief that a capable and skilled series of exploits, electronic tools, and hacks were used to change the presidential vote in all 7 swing states, and that these activities have reversed the outcomes in at least Arizona, Michigan, North Carolina, and Wisconsin. He claimed that the tell, this is still quoting Snopes, pointing to the purported hacking was a historically absurd number of Trump-only bullet ballots or undervote ballots. Skipping ahead, however, based on a full reading of his letter to Harris, skipping ahead, Spoonemore alleged that the purported election hacking and fraud in North Carolina proved to be the most extreme, and the public results indicate over 350,000 voters cast a ballot for Trump and no other race. However, this is false, and they proved this. And this is a month ago they were doing this. The numbers are 130,000 votes, but Trump received 183. But Snopes goes on to say that Spoonemore's work is so far speculative and inconclusive, and they found those mathematical errors, and good on them. However, Snopes used to be different. Snopes, when they were looking into something, they would say, we are still looking into it. If they found something that was inconclusive, they would say that they didn't have enough data to make the reading yet. That's why they were so believable back in the day when they were Snopes. They've been bought by somebody else right now. I don't remember who. And they're doing pretty good work here, except that if you read Snopes, you will get the impression that there's just nothing to Spoonemore's calculations unless you read very carefully. And then you see what they're saying is they don't have enough information to prove it. And since they can't prove it, well, it's out the window. But Spoonemore himself is saying, I'm just a citizen trying to find signs that would be proved by a hand recount. So Snopes has not debunked. If you hear that Snopes has debunked Spoonemore's work, that is simply wrong. Go read it on Snopes yourself and be sure. You should. But I'll quote Snopes a bit more because they have summarized things, and I was in a bit of a hurry. On October 19th, 2024. Oh, come on, don't do that to me, voice. I need all the phlegm get out of here now. Listen to me, phlegm.
Perhaps some coffee drinking.
Coffee drinking, yes.
Perhaps this will be a time to actually introduce the show. I think we kind of just sort of launched. I'm Ani. This is Teresa.
Teresa.
Teresa is quite we are both pretty adamant this morning. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world, and we don't need to tell you that. You know, that's why you in fact come to this site and join us for our live stream, or maybe you're in team replay. And we're really glad you are. We have gained actually our subscribership has increased by about a third in the last month, and we are really happy to have new viewers and listeners. For those of you who do not know, Teresa and I are veterans of community radio, journalism, and commentary programs, and actually met doing community radio stuff and such some 30 some odd years ago. And some of those years have been very odd indeed. So here we are, a couple of genderqueers living in the anarchist jurisdiction of the Pacific Northwest. We are excited to be with you on Fridays or whenever it is you are able to watch this thing.
People's Republic of Portland represent. I'm Teresa Mitchell. That's Ani Haynes. This is called This Is Now, Bridge to a Better World. And that's what we would like to do.
How are you? How's your throat?
It's better.
Okay.
Anyway, so Snopes goes on to say that Spoonemore's work is, okay, that wasn't where I was at. On October 19th, 2024, Elon Musk announced that America PAC would award a daily sweepstakes prize of $1 million to people willing to sign his petition pledging support for First and Second Amendments. In October, this page specified this program is exclusively open to registered voters in Pennsylvania, Georgia, Nevada, Arizona, Michigan, Wisconsin, and North Carolina. It just happened to be the swing states.
How could it be? Such a coincidence.
What could he have been up to?
Oh.
CNN reported on October 23rd that the Justice Department warned America PAC its sweepstakes may violate federal law, which bars paying people to register to vote. Musk's petition was only open to registered voters. So what was he doing? Well, he was collecting information, obviously, but returning to quoting Snopes on November 4th, ABC News reported the recipients of the $1 million a day sweepstakes were pre-selected, despite Musk's claim that the giveaways winners would be randomly selected. So the whole thing was bullshit. And but then a Philadelphia judge said that the sweepstakes could continue through election day. Isn't that nice? And I wonder how much that judge got.
Or who appointed him.
Yeah. Spoonemore's letter to Harris claimed Musk's team used this system to build a list of voters pledged to vote for Trump. Spoonemore alleged that the street addresses asked for in Musk's petition allowed bad actors to infiltrate election systems and cast fake votes. And what they do is say it's unfounded given the lack of evidence to support it. But that evidence is still coming in. Spoonemore reports that people are contacting him and sending information that they have been receiving $100 checks, even if they didn't sign into Musk's sweepstakes in any way. People are receiving $100 checks from Musk, again, who were no part of the contest. And so let me explain. This is speculation at this point. This is why we need a recount. Of course, he was gathering information on Trump voters at the last minute. This is because he believed there was a good chance that Trump wouldn't actually win. And if I may speculate further, he took that information, created false ballots with it, and they have been entered into the system in a way that Spoonemore has indicated has nothing to do with whether the tabulator banks were air-gapped and all those phrases that you've heard. They were pre-programmed to accept images of ballots because that's what they count. These days, they count images of ballots. And bomb threats went in. And bomb threats went in all the swing states. And what happens when you get a bomb threat?
You leave a building.
You don't just sit there and say, oh, fuck that, bomb. No, you leave the building.
Clear the building.
And everyone leaves the building, except, of course, the person doing the hacking. So it is, the more you look at it, the more you scream, we have to have a forensic recount, audited recount, the way they do in Europe continually regularly, ordinarily, all the time. We need actual democracy. So of course we need a recount. Of course we need a recount. I mean, this is why my hair is on fire. It could not be more obvious. Spoonmore writes, in the world of cybercrime, this attack is a modest effort. Forget the mostly false talking point that the tabulators are not networked. They're not supposed to be network accessible while they are tabulating, but they are all programmed in advance, either in person or over network access. They are updated and contacted by many persons. They have at minimum flash drive access. And I'm not going to read all the things I wrote, but the thing is, I've personally been given a tour of air-gapped computers at the Multnomah County election. And then I pointed out at the end that there was a bank of tabulating machines used to, many of them so that they can count all the votes, right? Because it divides it arithmetically, if I may say, so that they can get it done in a reasonable amount of time. But all that information goes to a central machine, and that machine was very obviously connected. And the director at the time of Multnomah County elections caught me looking at those cables, and he said, well, of course the final tabulator is connected. And I was just like, then what's the point? And more than that, when it comes to connectivity, I think Spoonmore is right to point out that connectivity isn't the thing necessarily, but there are many ways to connect a computer. And I remember way back in the black box voting days, there were computers that had been hacked with audible signals. There were computers that had been hacked with infrared because if your machine's of a certain build, then it has infrared the same as controls your television. Information can be put in all of those ways. So there's absolutely no reason, if I may come to my conclusion, to suddenly decide that the smirking fascists who constantly gave away their intent to hack the election suddenly turned into good guys who would not hack the election. And the thing is, we don't really know whether enough fascists came out to put the rapist felon into power. We don't know for a fact. But I think there's very good reasons to suspect that there weren't quite enough. There is no reason not to have a forensic audit of at least the swing states. In other words, to act as European countries do. We know that Allen set out to hack the election with his money. Why would he stop there? He is vigorously opposed to democracy. He's not on the fence about it. He hates democracy and is well known for his statements that capable men, not women, capable men should run everything. I mean, and he's so frustrated that this is not happening now. He has so much money. Why won't people just take it and turn this into fascism right away? So of course the election was hacked. Of course it was hacked. Of course we need a full recount at the very least. It would wrong foot the fascists as they smugly prepared to turn this country into a Pinochet-style horror show. And the latest information I have is, according to Smart Elections and Blue Sky, election protests have been filed in 5 North Carolina counties. That was hard to do because the Kamala campaign will not help at all. These are all citizen efforts. So, and to wind it up, I want to say, remember Spoonmore. Remember also a woman named Singh, who you will also find on Blue Sky. Maybe I'll pop up with that name in just a second. But also remember GregPalast.com. And the last thing from Greg Palast was, did Trump steal 2024? Many of you have asked me if Trump's victory could be accounted for by vote suppression trickery. It's a real possibility. We are still trying to pry the voting data out of the hands of MAGA supporting election officials, so be patient. To maintain the integrity of our work as an investigative reporter, I don't report until I've investigated. In the meantime, stream my film, Vigilantes Incorporated, America's New Vote Suppression Hitman. It's a good film. I laugh because Greg is very smart about promoting himself, Greg Palast.
Yes.
And we've both met him and talked to him. And he's a good guy. He means what he says. He does the work, and he's doing it. If he says he's doing it, then he is doing it work. But we must continue to scream for recounts because it will have an effect at some point. I would like to say that the thunderclouds that I saw on Biden's face yesterday had to do with his realization that the election was stolen. Probably it didn't. I don't know. People are speculating things like that. Gavin Newsom said something that could be interpreted as further checking will be done on the election. Obama said something a couple of days ago that was pretty pointedly saying that the election was rigged without saying that it was rigged. So
what do we do about this, right? We demand a recount. And I think it's kind of interesting. It's like if we, those that oppose Trump, start to say, that election was stolen. Then it sort of sounds, it's like we've heard this before. Everyone's tired of stolen election. We just want to, but I'm here to say it's not time to capitulate.
Oh, heck no. Are you
It is.
tired?
It is not time to figure out how to cooperate with this rigged system. Right. This is the time to stand up and, in fact, demand a recount for very good reasons. Teresa has just gone over. If there's any doubt of that kind of chicanery, it is important.
Ooh, that's a good word, chicanery.
It is important to be obstreperous. I've got many words this
like
morning.
That too.
And
Can you put that on a bumper sticker? I am obstreperous about chicanery. Recount the vote.
Something like that. I'm just saying, it is important to, the illusion of, well, I guess we're all in this together, so we'll figure out, some way to work with the bastards is not really it. It's not it. We saw that in the first Trump administration. This one is shaping up to be well worse. And so we cannot just sort of capitulate and say, well, for the to keep up the appearance of propriety, we shall reach across the aisles and make deals with the fascists who probably did steal the election. No, this is the time to, in fact, resist. This is the time to say no and to just follow along and demand a recount. A recount is, well, it's expensive. Yes, so is losing our democracy, right? And so
it's not
expensive. It's time consuming. Yeah. Democracy is sometimes a little time consuming, but we kind of had, committed to this as a system.
It's frightening. It's frightening, and it means a fight. That's what really is keeping it from happening. And yes, we have to fight against fascism, particularly for democracy.
And so this is the deal. This is where I wanted to just emphasize this morning that it is important not to obey in advance. Right? Do not. We've mentioned this before. Thank you, Tat, for even typing that in the comments. It is. It's so important to. I know we many times don't want to be seen as those that are unreasonable. Be unreasonable. Right? Be unreasonable. This is not the time to go along to get along. If in fact this capitulation opens the door to flat out fascism. Really not with any other name. I mean, he's okay with that. There's a bill right now. This is an interesting thing in Congress that is attempting to introduce in civics the brutal murdering history of communism. And when a congressman, when a representative said that they would like to have actually fascism also introduced in that bill, the Republicans stopped backing it and, in fact, denied, would not go for that. It's like they're okay with fascism. They're okay with even using the word at this point. And where are we? What happened? What were our grandfathers doing in World War II? I thought there was something about fighting fascists. I don't know. So all that. And this other thing happened. The other thing that happened was there was a CEO that was killed yesterday. Wasn't just any CEO. He was the CEO of United Healthcare. And United Healthcare is not just a health insurance, health denial agency. It is, in fact, the worst health denial agency. In terms of denying claims, Kaiser has the least denial rate at 7%. They deny 7% of claims or pre-authorizations or, services. 7%. United Healthcare denies 32% because, their shareholders, their stockholders need that money far more then you need access to healthcare,
Or to life.
which
That's
which
4 times as much.
which in fact ends up being, access to your life. And I'm going to read from Michael Moore's most recent newsletter. It came out this morning. And just to share a little bit of Michael Moore's take on this, which I actually have to say firmly agree with. Each year, 50,000 Americans are killed by gun violence. Each year, over 100,000 Americans die from infections that they pick up while they're visiting healthcare facilities or are in hospital. How is it possible that in 21st century, in the wealthiest nation on earth, this could happen? He writes, a nation where wealthy owners of the for-profit hospitals and nursing homes despise regulations and inspections, making going to get medical help in America one of the most dangerous things you can do. I've actually picked up infections from visiting a friend in hospital, as well as being in hospital myself, and had to be re-hospitalized for an infection picked up in a previous hospitalization. So I can attest to the fact that this is absolutely true. Finally, there's this. According to the medical journal Lancet, 13% of family members have had 13% of American families have had a member of the family or a close friend die from lack of the ability to access healthcare services. 13% of American families have lost somebody. 13% of Americans have lost a family member or a close friend.
It's like a war.
So again, obviously, none of this should be happening in the United States. And while gun deaths, I'm quoting Michael Moore here, while gun deaths will make headlines if it's a mass shooting at a school or a church, or say if it's the assassination of a millionaire CEO in New York, that'll make headlines. But the deaths of 186 people who will die today due to a broken healthcare system, one that is run permanently by insurance men, will not hear one word on the news about those 186 deaths. 186 Americans die every day from lack of healthcare coverage. Michael Moore mentions their names will never be mentioned. Their names will never be told on the evening news. We'll never, have a national memorial for them. So just a little thing to ponder as we move forward, looking at our governorship, our governing bodies. We need healthcare. This is one of the very important reasons why, why we need to elect people that care about the populace, right? Why we need to elect people who actually want single-payer health coverage, which is the standard in other countries. It's the standard. And so this is it's a life and death issue for so many of us. And we know that the Trump team wants to eliminate the Affordable Health Care Act, wants to eliminate Obamacare, wants to make the situation so far so much worse. So what can we do? We need to look locally. We need to make sure that we can uphold state health systems, that we can uphold local health systems, that we can support county health clinics, that we need to, again, always look to the local for the solution. When the national is being ran by, a fascist clown show of oligarchs who don't give two rats about you, we know that we have to take our power in our local communities. That's where we have the most leverage. That's where we can do the most good. And right now, we really have to focus on where we can do the most good. The fact that the apparent assassin took the time to write, deny, defend, and depose on the bullets that killed the CEO of United Health yesterday, I think speaks volumes to the why of it. And again, the fact that it took that assassination to really break open the anger that many Americans have at the insurance denial system. It's time for a massive change. And maybe this is one of those points we can come together on in a huge way, where we can, again, let's look at acting locally. We need access to healthcare. We need access to doctors, nurses, other health practitioners that can make a difference between life and death. And we need access to the drugs and medications prescribed. So let's go ahead and leave that there.
Well, I just wanted to say that I saw his face, the assassin's face, and I just can't remember what it looked like. Let's see, did he have a beard?
Yeah.
Did he have diamonds in his teeth?
Yeah.
Maybe he had the Lucky Charms guy tattooed across his forehead.
So I think what you're saying is, if you think you know who he is, no, you don't.
That's
Yeah.
Gee, I just don't know who that was.
Yeah. Yep. It's interesting. So thank you all for joining us this morning. I do want to mention that I will be starting a new year of my witch class. This is now going into its 4th cycle. We would love to have you join us. We meet twice a month to discuss topics of making magic in your life, working with energetic cycles, scrying, tarot, looking at the holy days, our connection to the sacred energies around us, and staying grounded in interesting times. There's a lot about visioning. This is, we are coming up on the Yule time. This is winter solstice. That's when things renew annually. And so that is when we start the witch class again. We will first meet next Wednesday at 11 o'clock. I'm sorry, not at 11 o'clock. We will meet next Wednesday, the 11th. That's where the 11 came from. And if you are interested in joining us, please email me. My email is in the description of the show. It's Ani Raven, like the birds, Ani and Raven, at gmail.com. So do please contact me right away if you are able, if you want more information about that.
I wanted to mention the earthquake really briefly. There was an earthquake off the coast off California yesterday. It was interesting. It was not the Juan de Fuca fault, thank goodness. And but I was very interested to see that it set off a series of 2, 3, and 4 point earthquakes, pretty much heading north towards the Oregon border. For the next hour after that quake, there was something like 30 after quakes, and they were all in that range, which is just, it's such good news, because it means that fault, I mean, don't really know this for sure, but it looks like that fault is releasing rather gently. It's not, that one is a slip fault, not a, what's the Juan de Fuca is a fill in the blank word here. It's not the type that forms tsunamis anyway. So it turned out to be an okay and just interesting thing, and nobody was hurt. Okay. That's all I have to say.
Right. So thanks very much again for joining with us. And let's go ahead and look at the cards for this week. We have the Magician inversed. We have the 10 of Cups inversed. I'm sorry, the 10 of Discs inversed. And we have the Page of Wands. And so what does this all mean? It means we need to remember to stay seated in our power. We are not giving it away, right? We are needing to remember to stay grounded and centered, and to keep your hearts open, to keep your minds open, to take care of your body and feed your spirit. It is important to take care of all of those parts of yourself so that we can actually have access to all of the tools we need. Clear thinking that's grounded in real heartfelt love and compassion that nourishes our bodies and our souls, right? And we can also recognize that things that we have been doing haven't been working. So it's time to get bigger visions, to have bigger dreams, to have discussions around utopian visions, and to see where and how we can take some steps to grow those ideas, right? We have to change our stories. And so it's an important thing to to find new tools to use to help that story catch on. And the 10 of Cups on its head is talking about needing to pay attention to relationships, to communication, and to connections that uh, have been suffering. The 10 of Pentacles is really often about pulling everyone together in a sort of a harvest, sort of a we have been putting out good intentions and now we reap them together. We have been doing the hard work and laying the foundations and now we all benefit. And what this is saying is we have to actually work together a little bit better than we have been in order to see those payoffs.
What's Kitty doing in that one?
Here, you can look. Okay. And so the Page of Wands actually this is a card that kind of makes the others make sense to me. Not like they didn't make sense to begin with. I got it. But the Page of Wands says we have to make it fun. The Page of Wands says that that this work has to be seen through the lenses of adventure, of sort of let's see what we can do, as opposed to we are pushing forth through a grim reality, right? I think that many of us, myself included, have been feeling like we are pushing forth through a grim reality, but we will. La resistance carries on, right? This says, in fact, we have to engage through a lens of excitement, of adventure, of looking forward to actually being playful in how we go about our work. So all of a sudden, the magician telling us that we need to change tactics makes a lot more sense to me. To see that we have to focus on relationships and our communications. Yeah, we have to remember how to have fun with each other. We have to remember how to play. Emma Goldman once said, if I can't dance, I don't want to be a part of your revolution. Melody Silverwolf, my old co-host, always said, if it's not fun, it's not sustainable. And I'm going to say, yeah, those two are right. Make it fun. Let us be together with joy. Let us pull forth the best, most creative ideas on how to move forward from each other, from the ether, from deep within the earth. Let us pull forward grand visions. Let us not be afraid. Let us not go through this with heavy hearts. Let's know that we are here together. We create the communities that will, in fact, provide some safety net and provide an opportunity for dancing in this revolution. So with that, again, we thank you so much for joining with us this very morning. We hope that you do it again next week. If you are interested in regular pagan practice, Please join Witch Class. It starts next Wednesday night for the 4th cycle. Contact me, AniRaven@gmail.com to do that. And we will be back again next Friday morning.
That name, I promise, Jackie Singh, Singh. You will find her on Blue Sky. You'll find Stephen Spoonamore on Blue Sky. They're also on other social media. They're on Substack. And other names to remember, Tom Hartman, and of course, Greg Palast, who says he's going to come out with something. So that'll give you a start on data for the recount effort. And I'm really glad to hear that, since we're in for the fight of our lives, that we can have some fun with it. And I think that's the way to go.
All right. Thanks very much for being with us. And we'll be back again next week. All right. Take care.
Our love goes out to you and to all the ships at sea.